Hi guys, welcome to Fierce and Pretty. Hanni here. I'm just doing a quick little video VR to Anna at Astral Lady Tarot for her newest hashtag on Maindecks and Mooddecks. So I will link Anna's video down below. You can check that out. If you want to do your VR, use those hashtags that she provided for us. And I'm trying to keep it just quite compact because I don't know, when it comes to my main decks, I did start with the Rider-Waite-Smith. So, and I guess that forever this will be my reference deck, my reference image whenever I try to think about a card and link it to the card meaning. So it always bases to the Rider-Waite-Smith. And because it was my first deck, I used to, when I was learning the tarot system. So I did that in the night that I went through. I started to memorize the card orders to get all the majors right and things like that. And then the card meanings and the imagery and where each card goes. So I think for many of us, this is the deck that we know in our sleeps. But then my second main deck, that I could do the same thing now. It is, though, a bit more challenging in a way because the minors are so different. And especially in the suits of wands or swords, it might take a bit more time to come out with each and every image. The majors are a lot more easier. But with the Thoth, you get one more fun extension to remember to link the titles, like here. In the Three of Cups, the abundance. So if you want to take the exercise even further with the Thoth to remember the keywords, and if you want to take the game a bit further than that, to remember and memorize the deacons, like here in the Three of Cups when we have Mercury in Cancer. I can't remember those by heart, but maybe, just maybe one day. But I guess those are my main decks. But then when it comes to working with tarot, I would have to raise the Shimmering Veil as my third main deck. Even though I'm cheating a bit here, this deck doesn't fall into that category that I could remember all the images, because I think the art in this deck is a whole lot richer and deeper and so complex in a way that I couldn't remember, and they are harder to describe, like in your mind's eye. You can remember most of them, but the deck is that whenever I see a card, when I pull cards out of it, I immediately recognize it, that it doesn't feel like a stranger or a new thing. But this has been my biggest surprise on tarot decks so far, and I have used it every single day since I've got it. So it is one of my main decks, and that I prefer to use on personal readings. And one thing that comes to this deck, that I don't want to use this in large spreads. I rather use it like 2 cards and a 1 rune type of way. So smaller, because the images are so jam-packed. So I work it in a different way. But it is my main deck, even though I don't still remember all the images by heart. So sorry, Anna, I'm cheating here a bit. But then it comes to the rest of my decks. I have roughly 60 decks or something. And I still feel that I have a bit too many. I have gotten rid of many decks in the 3 past months or so. I think my deck collecting thingy started in pretty much the same way as Anna said, that you were searching for the perfect deck. And for me, that was the same thing. I wanted to find, of course, first I was curious what's out there, but then quite soon I really wanted to find the perfect deck. And I'll have to say that in the Shimmering Veil, I don't have a card that I dislike. And I think the same as in, I don't have so many issues that I would love this deck, but there is this card that I don't like. And now when I think of it, I don't have a card that I don't like in Thoth, and I don't have a card, I don't think that I have a card in Rider-Waite-Smith that I don't like. So, but in the other decks, yes, there are more of those issues or technical issues with the card's quality in some way, like too shiny or hard to shuffle or whatever. But my deck categories, I have quite many decks that I think that are just my study decks, and I don't read with them. And they increase the amount of my collection even though I don't use them. But I love to have them because of the study aspect. But rest of the decks, I guess, are the mood decks. And I do have so many decks that I don't use all of them very often. Some of them I have used once or twice, so, and they just still hang there, but I'm not willing to let them go. But I'm just sharing a few of my favorite mood decks, and the Light Seers is absolutely a mood deck. It can, and for me this is a bit more summery than I haven't been picking it up now when it's cold and snowy. And another mood deck is the Druidcraft, and this to me is a lot more like spring or autumn type of deck. I just actually went back to one of my older videos from last fall when I was doing the equinox card reading in the forest with this. And in the reading I got the wheel card. And yesterday it struck me, because I was struggling in that reading to understand what was this connection of this card, the relationship that I was meant to focus on. And yesterday evening I had an epiphany, and I finally realized what that meant, and I had to go back to my own video and look for that reading. And so but me sitting in that beautiful forest with this deck, and I think that this is a perfect fall type of energy and very nature type of energy deck. So that's the mood of that one. Then one of my favorite mood decks are the Fountain Tarot. This is when I want to think about something maybe a bit more practical than the Thoth, and maybe it's like it's a fresher deck to me. I don't feel the deck is cold as some people do, but I see it being fresh. And this is the main deck for me this year, because I'm doing the 52 readings project with this one. So it gets a lot of views, but it is kind of somehow a positive mood deck. I don't go to this with the grumpier, darker feelings. Maybe for those I do use my Thoth mostly. And the fun thing that even though I consider Rider-Waite-Smith the main deck, I hardly ever read with it anymore. I do have one small copy in my work bag, and if I need to use it on the go, then I will use that. But rarely ever do I read at home with a standard Rider-Waite-Smith anymore. But still, it is a deck that I kind of think of daily at some point. But then I do have decks that I use in different feelings, and the Star Child is one of those girlier, softer decks. So the Star Child is for the softer moods. Then I do have decks that I use more often, these vintage, like the Aquarian or the Morgan Greer. These are decks that get more use. And they also have different moods when I choose to work with them. So that's why I count them into the mood deck section. And then there are decks that depend on, for example, who I'm reading to. And to me, the Darkness of the Light is one of my most masculine decks. But oftentimes, most of the times, my trusted Thoth just does the job more faster, smoother, easier. So I think that having a deep relationship with one or two decks, and for me it is the Thoth and the Shimmering Veil, and other decks have harder time to compete with these trusted, dearly beloved decks. So, but I guess that was my little 2 cents on the topic. Thanks, Anna, for making yet another fun hashtag. It's been a long time since I done a VR, so that's why I thought I would just crank a short one in. Until next time. Bye, guys.